at tackle. And so there's legitimately five bodies they just keep rotating. And so I trust Coach Raiola to be able to know what he's looking at and have a feel for who's playing good, who's not playing good, and getting guys rested. But I'm certainly just as excited about seeing how those guys play and what that lineup kind of settles in at. I think we're really settled in at the inside three with just those guys being all old and veteran bodies and all that. But the rotation at tackle is something that I've never had the luxury to do. And so having five quality guys that can go out there and play is a huge advantage for us. Just as interested to see how it shakes out as you guys are.
The oars at left tackle, we don't read into everything. Do you read that as a three-way tie?
Oh, I think it's taking advantage of your opportunity, but it's what that last play looked like. There's been times where it looks good, so they stay in there. There's been times where it doesn't look good and they get replaced. And so I got a lot of confidence in Coach Raiola to be able to, he knows what he's looking for and he knows what that's supposed to look like, and just as interested to see it as you guys are.
You said rotation. Does that mean we could possibly see multiple guys at both?
It's kind of what it means. I'm not being mean, but it's kind of what that means. It's just we got another practice today. We got another practice tomorrow to kind of just keep plugging away at it. There's some backup receiver spots that I'd say the same thing. There's some guys that, and I think this may have to be a deal where in game I'm going to have to look at some of these young guys at receiver. I'm good with the starters. Those guys are older. They're veterans. They're Isaiah, Dane, Jacory, and then Bonner. I mean, those guys, I know what I'm going to get out of them guys. Okay, it's just all the other guys. And I could say the same thing at running back. You know what you're going to get out of Emmett, but the other guys, although they've been practicing really well, what's that look in their eye going to be like? And that's first game stuff. We'll have a lot more answers Friday on what those guys look like, what the lineup settles in at, and where we go from here.
Dean's body work was kind of 3 years at Kentucky. Everybody can kind of tell what that is. And Isaiah only had kind of the 1 year at Cal. But how have you seen those two guys? You brought him in here to play a lot. How have you seen them kind of take control in camp?
Yeah, they ended up being exactly what we thought we were getting with them. Okay, so and Isaiah went through like a week where he was a little banged up. Kind of set him back a little bit, but has really came on here in the last week. I just see him as I just go back to watching the Cal video. I mean, the game day stuff was pretty good. I don't know what the practice stuff looked like, but the game day stuff was pretty good. And so when you put him in those positions to, make plays, when we're counting on, I feel very confident he'll be able to do that.
How different do you anticipate the play calling experience being for you compared to the last time you were calling plays for Nebraska?
Yeah, it's a little different. I don't get tripped up nearly as much, so it's our offense now, so I know it in and out as well as I need to know it. I got tripped up at times, and had to make some adjustments to what the offense was in order for it to make sense to me, and I think we've done that, and I think it makes a lot of sense to Dylan. And our communication is very, very, very good.
You still prefer the sideline?
Yeah, I need to be down there in the heat of the battle.
Anything else for Coach?
Awesome. Thank you all.
What was the thought process Rule gave you guys behind why they wanted, season-long captains this year, and what was it like to hear your name?
It was definitely, the highest honor I've ever, been awarded. Just knowing that I have, so much support behind me was, really unlike any other feeling I've had in my life. So that was great. I think the reason why we wanted to do it is just, he wanted to give us the choice to vote on who we wanted 6 representatives to be, and I'm so thankful that I was one of those 6.
How ready are you to mix it up with somebody besides your teammates?
Yeah, I'm so ready. It was a long camp, long off season, but it's finally here, and so I think everybody's excited about that.
What did you have to sign? He wanted you guys to sign something.
Yeah, we had a, kind of like a sworn oath that we had to take for it, stating the things that we would do as a team captain.
What are some of those things?
Just always look out for the team first, put the team first in everything we do. Defend the process, defend the things that we stand for as a program.
Yeah, I'm curious, with a bus ride, then a long wait on Saturday or on Thursday, how challenging will it be just to kind of keep your composure, just kind of waiting up to kick off for a game like this?
Yeah, the first one's always tough, because you're just wanting to get out there the whole time, especially with an 8 o'clock kickoff. But, it'll be good. It gives us, just some extra hours to prepare on Thursday, watch a little bit of extra film, just iron out those little details before we get into kickoff.
What do you think of their interior lineman, the one they call the Godfather?
He's a solid player. Just got to prepare for him every single day. That's how, really how you show your respect to any opponent is, I'm going to prepare all week long, every single day, every minute I have to prepare.
Who's maybe the best guy you faced in the Big Ten on the defensive side? The guy that maybe impressed you the most over your career?
There's been a bunch. With a conference like the Big Ten, every D-line's got, a guy or two that are going to play on Sundays. So, I really wouldn't say there's any one in particular, but just the, repetitiveness of week in, week out playing against those high-caliber guys.
Dana said he's never been able to have that many oars at the tackle spot on a depth chart going into a season. How have you seen those guys drive each other at that competition?
Yeah, I'd say that the competition just breeds improvement for, everybody involved. And, everybody who's been rotating has been doing great. I can barely tell when, one guy's on the field versus another. That's just how much better that all of them have gotten.
Regardless of whether they win the job or not, both Turner and Teddy have been through a lot of stuff the past several years. Just what does that say about them specifically, that they're in the conversation after everything they've been through?
Yeah, I think it just really shows their toughness and resilience. After all the injuries, all the, season-ending stuff that they've had, just, being able to just show up and, work hard, work to come back, all because, there's 2 guys that really love the game and really love their teammates. So, it's never a question on, if they would come back, it's just when.
Anything else for Henry?
Thank you, Henry.
Okay.
Thanks, Henry.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Coach, what jumps out to you about Swordsby when you watch his body of work so far?
Very athletic, very strong as a runner, very competitive. I think we've seen him slide twice maybe. So when he runs, whether it's a designed run, a scramble, he's trying to get and fight for every yard. So you can tell he's tough and competitive, which I think we've done a good job of making sure that our players see that and know that. You always got to know the type of animal you're hunting, so to speak. And he's big, strong, runs hard. He's tough. He delivers the blow more so than he takes hits. So that's a challenge physically that we've got to answer early to make sure that that doesn't get out of hand.
Between him and Pryor, how are they going to test your team's ability to tackle?
I think the test is going to be great. You look at these games from this week and the week 0 games. We watched a significant amount of them in our staff room, just some of the things that happened. And other than ball security, the number one thing that stood out was the poor tackling. So we've been emphasizing it. I'm sure you guys are going to ask me about it every week, depending on whether we tackle well or we don't. But tracking the near hip, taking the extra step, getting body on body, having population there, being physical. I think that's going to be a challenge every week. Every team we're playing, specifically this week in Cincinnati, with all of their skill that we think they have, and then the skill that they brought in that we've got to see and kind of test out early. So I think it's a challenge. But that's football. I mean, if you're going to wonder if we're playing good on defense or not, it's going to come down to can we tackle their players.
Coach, you've obviously been to Arrowhead before. What are your experiences just in that stadium, and how much could that crowd noise really help feed a young defense on a stage like this Thursday night?
Yeah, unfortunately, when I've been there, their team was not cheering for our defense. They were cheering for the other team. So I think it'll be a little different in that regard. But we feel like it's going to be the crowd's going to be in our favor. So we did talk to them about it. Like, you're playing game number 1. You're playing in a pro stadium. Don't make it bigger than it is. It's a football game. A lot of you guys have played in an elite venue here at Memorial Stadium, so it's similar. But just do what we've practiced to do. Don't lose your minds. Play with energy and enthusiasm, but don't make it bigger than it is. But obviously, anytime you have a situation where the crowd can be loud for your defense, that obviously always affects the opponent's offense, their ability to operate, their communication at the line of scrimmage, their ability to check. So hopefully everybody shows up and they're cheering their ass off for us.
I'll ask you this back, I guess, in December, but did you find that you coached differently as the coordinator versus a position coach when you were calling the plays in December? Do you think it'll even change a little bit more come Thursday?
Yeah, I think you have to have a little bit of a different perspective because you're now looking at the whole thing as opposed to just, in my case, the 5 DBs. And you have to obviously take a little bit more of a global approach to solving problems. What's happening up front? Are we controlling the quarterback? Are we controlling the run game? How is our front, handling their offensive line? So yeah, I think it has to. So therefore, there's just so many more things you have to think about and adjust to. So you've just got to be more neutral, identifying what we're doing well, what we're struggling with, and how we can solve problems in a second. So yeah, anytime you're in charge of everything, you have to be a little bit more global and a little bit more neutral in how you're responding to things. So I think I did in the bowl game, and I'll have to do it here. I mean, my excitement level may get up every once in a while, but I'm going to do my best to remain flatlined.
Said this fondly. He said, he compared you a little bit to a basketball coach, like the energy that you coach with as a coordinator.
Yeah, I think the energy I've always coached with is I think one of my strengths is I'm able to see things pretty quickly and quicker than others, and usually quicker than the players. Now I have a tendency sometimes to overdo it, and so like Corey Campbell and previous strength coaches have probably had to exert some physical labor keeping me off the field. That I can't do that obviously as a play caller, and I didn't in BC, and I even told Corey the other day she didn't have to worry about that anymore. But I think a benefit of that is like I use the analogy when I was in Buffalo in COVID, and there was no fans out there, and so when I would see something, I would just yell it out to Micah Hyde and Poyer and Tredavious and all those guys, and they would come back and say, damn, we should be playing these environments all the time because you're calling out every play and it's happening. So that's part of the trust that you develop with the players so that when they come to the sidelines, you can't tell them during the game, but you have to be like, that's just one of my strengths is my ability to see what's going on. Just like in a basketball, growing up playing basketball and football, stuff happens very fast on a basketball court, excuse me. So you have to be able to adapt and adjust very quickly, especially when I was a point guard. So that's just the mindset and the mentality I've always had. You got to be able to solve problems quickly in sports and competitive arenas, and
Hey, Coach,
that's what you have to do.
who will be in the headset for you as far as the players? I mean, that was a new rule last year, and how do you find that effective to have that communication during the game, or is it kind of hard for a defender?
Yeah, right now we're going to have the linebacker. It'll rotate based on who's in there. We'll be in there to help us communicate the defenses, and it's a fine line, right? You have to like the 15-second mark, and you don't want to be that guy that's saying, "Hey, alert to this, alert to that, alert to this." But you give them the call. And then you give it an alert of like, hey, this is what I'm thinking here. Be alert to this by this down and distance. But then you've got to be careful because then he's got a job to do too. And different players in different areas are more comfortable with that. So I'm going to kind of have to feel that out. My relationship with the player that I'm talking to, how much they can handle, how much they can then communicate to the people that they're working with. I always felt like. To me, it's a great tool if used properly, meaning that give them the call, give them a couple bullet points, let them play. But I've also been around people that are talking to them the whole time, and the ball gets ready to get snapped, or it's at the 15 seconds, and they haven't really had a chance to process what they're doing. So I think it's going to be an area where I'm going to have to figure out early in the season to see how we can best utilize it to maximize the value to our defense, but not to the point where I'm handicapping them in any way, if you know what I mean.
Their tight end, Royer, he's pretty proven pass catcher. Just what have you seen from him and maybe the unique threat he brings?
Yeah, I think he's a weapon for them. I think they move him around a lot. Like they're trying to get him in matchups against linebackers and maybe smaller safeties. He's adequate to above average in the run game, so that's sometimes you can evaluate a player of that nature, be like, he's just in there when it's pass, or he's not going to really be a front side blocker. He's good in the run game, so that helps him and makes it a little bit more challenging for us to game plan against him. But you can clearly see that that him and the quarterback are in sync, which any good offense, like you got to feel good about who you're throwing the ball to, not only his ability to get open, but also his ability to make contested catches. So I think that's going to be a challenge for us. I think we got some pretty good players in the secondary and then at linebacker that have some size and coverage ability. But I think that, the run game overall, the quarterback's ability to kind of be an equalizer, and then thirdly, like how does their tight end continue to affect the passing game as it relates to their new players that they've just signed in the transfer portal will be kind of the three things we're looking to figure out early in the game and how the game's going to be called and how we're going to play it.
You got the black shirt hat on. Will the defense be, getting black jerseys this week? And just maybe what does that do to motivate them earning a starting spot like that?
Yeah, it's going to happen sometime this week. I'm sure Coach Rule will announce that when he feels comfortable with doing that. But I can just remember last year, again, it was a whirlwind for me being here and, kind of everything and how it happened. So I was just focused on coaching, right? And then one day, I think it was right around this time last year before the first game, those guys came out in the black jerseys, and I was like, man, that's pretty damn cool. Just like nobody really said anything to me about it, and and I didn't know the history as far as like that they actually practice in the black jerseys. I apologize for my ignorance, but I knew of them, and I'm just out there getting ready for practice. I see the guys coming out, and I'm like, that's some cool stuff right there. So obviously, it's something that we're gonna keep it pretty competitive, meaning we're not going to water it down and say, hey, well, this guy starts in this package and he plays here. Like it's going to be 11, maybe a 12th guy, depending on if he's really a key rotational starter for us to get a good feel on what that is and who they are. But like it's also something that they may have a black shirt whenever Matt announces it, but it's not. They don't keep it for life. So it's a competitive thing. I think it's something you got to take pride in. But you also got to take pride in the fact that I've got to continue to earn this every day in practice and then every week on the field to make sure that I continue to be one of those black shirts that's held to that standard of playing with elite effort, a lion level physicality, executing with precision and making some plays. So that's going to be something we're constantly evaluating and holding them accountable for.
With those new receivers they have, how much different tape besides Cincinnati have you had on your desk throughout the long off season? And
Right.
I guess how different is it maybe than even a decade ago when you were a D coordinator in college with the off season like that?
So we have video of all those players from their previous places, some more than others, some better quality than others. So you're really looking at it like you're evaluating them strictly on their skill set, really not how they've been used in that system, because that's not the system we're defending. It's clear that they wanted to improve their speed, because when you look at all those guys, they all clearly have some speed. They have the ability to kind of work vertically down the field, which we have to be alert and aware of. Easiest route to run in football is just a straight ahead go route. That's if you're fast, you can do that. So that's an area that we are aware of, and we know that they wanted to get better, and we feel like they're going to test us on that pretty early. And I'll have a pretty good vibe early on. Can our guys run with them? Can we cover them? And that'll obviously affect how I call the game.
Anything else, Coach? I know, Andrew and Sierra are the top guys on the depth chart. What has jumped out to you about the backups there? Donovan Jones on one side.
So we really have 3 starters at corner with Andrew and Sierra and Donnie Jones. We consider them all 3 starters. You can only play 2. So you're going to see all 3 of them in a considerable amount, whether it's equally, whether it's, they're all going to, I think, be around the same snap count wise, as long as there's not an injury, knock on wood. So we feel pretty strongly about them, and we'll probably ride out most of the game with those guys playing at corner.
So Donnie, it really, what did he do in camp that really impressed you? Because I know he was playing some safety.
Yeah, he played safety early because we were trying to figure out what's the best place for him. He's a bigger kid. He's physical. He has a safety type body, but he also runs like a corner. And we just we just through reps and time felt like that was just a place he was more comfortable at, and was playing better at. So as opposed to trying to, what's the old adage, like stick a square peg in a round hole and say, well, we need this, so you got to play here. He was playing much better at corner, and therefore that's where he finished in the bowl game. Sometimes that's just where a guy's natural position is. So we're comfortable with those 3 guys and feel like that they'll be the guys playing for us in the game at that position.
John, there's maybe more of a known quantity in terms of returners in the secondary and in the linebacking core. What do you want your front to show in this first game action?
Really, all I want the front to show is they got to get off the ball. I mean, I'm talking about freaking get off the ball and create a new line of scrimmage, either whether it's their get off or their movement. So we want them living in the other team's backfield from an effort standpoint. And then obviously from a physicality standpoint, the physicality of your defense is established by your front, whether it's a front 4 or a front 5. Are they knocking the offensive line back? Are they creating a new line of scrimmage? Are they being disruptive? Are they allowing your back 7, your linebackers and your safeties in the run fit to overlap and make plays on the ball? If they're doing that, then we're playing defense the way we want to play. If they're not doing that, then we're going to have to make some adjustments with how they're playing, but also maybe how we're calling the game. So the heart and soul of your defense, any good defense, is your D-line. We feel like we got some good young players there that have physicality, they have movement, they have explosive playmaking ability, and that's honestly one of the most exciting things for me heading into the game. Having gone against our offensive line, who I've attested to is very good, works very well together. They're gigantic. Now we're going up against another offensive line, which is another test. I think it's going to be good for us to see where we stack up against them as we move forward this season.
So you're a long-suffering Sixers fan?
Unfortunately, yes. I don't know where that came up, but I am absolutely a long-suffering Sixers fan. It was 1983 was the last time they won an NBA championship, and I was 10 years old and remember Maurice Cheeks dribbling the ball up the court and being pretty happy about it. So it's been a long time coming.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
After this, these aren't reading glasses; these are fashion-specific glasses. Just throwing it out there.
Questions? Well, hey, you've been to Arrowhead before, so I mean, obviously, I'm sure if you're really excited to play
Yeah.
in that stadium, I'm sure there's people there that your friends that you're going to see. What do you think just about the experience of going down there and playing?
Yeah, it'll be different. Normally, I'm going down there to have a good time, watch some good ball, but it's a little different mission and to go down there and win a football game. So obviously my mindset will be different. The guys will be juiced up and ready to go on both sides of the ball. Tremendous respect for Cincinnati. I think they're going to play a really hard football game, so we'll have to come with our A game.
Have any of those people that you know on that roster around that team given you some things to pay attention to about just playing there?
No. I mean, I asked Pat if I needed to wear 7 studded cleats. He said no. He said it's in perfect shape. So, no. I think just play a game and play ball. Yeah.
You'll be one of the captains out there. If you win the toss, or it's going to be hard for you not to want the ball first.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to be selfish and take the ball. So I'm not sure. That's a coach rule call. That's above my pay grade.
What about that captain honor, though?
Yeah.
Just getting the captain vote as a sophomore, one of the younger ones in program history.
Yeah, it's a tremendous honor to be able to represent this football team and represent, honestly, not even the guys here right now, but everyone that came before us. Every single person that's walked through these doors, names up in the stadium, championships that have been won, and to be able to, wear a C on my jersey. It's a lot more than just the patch. It's more of the blood, sweat, and tears that I had with these guys, and just them being able to respond to me trying to lead them and all the guys that deserve captain honors. So it's an honor. Like I said, I'm very humbled to be in the position that I'm in to represent this football team.
Did you guys go to Rule and lobby to have season-long captains versus just game captains?
Yeah, we mentioned it to him. We brought it up to him, but it wasn't we weren't begging him to have it because we have a very selfless football team where guys don't really care to wear a patch on their jersey, but it's more of in the locker room and how they're viewed as a football player.
Dylan, Coach Rule has not done that traditionally with his teams have season-long captains. So whatever this is, year 10 as a head coach for him in college or overall in college, yeah. What does it say to you that he was willing to be adaptable at this stage and fit what worked for this group?
Right. I think when you show Coach Rule that you can handle things like this, he's going to be open to it and do it. So I think it was pretty cool when he said yes to it. Me and a couple other guys went up to him and asked about it, and he approved it. And it kind of just goes to show that Coach Rule's he's not just stuck in his own ways, but he's a player's coach, and he loves when his players come and talk to him. And I think that's a cool thing to have, and that's very rare in college football nowadays.
What have you seen from him in the way that he ran your camp this year? I mean, I know you only have one other year to compare it to, but did you see any kind of other changes besides the willingness to have captains?
Well, now he's ripped up and he's a workout machine. I mean, he wakes up every morning and works out. I mean, I think it's funny, but at the same time, it's his way of showing his guys he's going out there and he's going to put in the same amount of work and effort that we put in. He's going to do the same. So, camp was hard. It was a grind, and I don't think you find too many teams going as hard as we did for how long we did. But that's just a kudos to our guys and their way to practice, recover their bodies, watch the tape, and then come back and do it all over again for however long we did it. It was awesome, and I think that should give us confidence going into the season.
He had you guys sign like a proclamation.
Yeah.
Like, what did it say?
It was along the lines of, I will protect the process and the brotherhood, and basically you're committing yourself to the football team and everything Coach Rule stands on, that you're going to be a voice of him, and it was a serious deal. It was cool. We stood in the team meeting room and we basically took an oath, like we were getting elected into office, and it was cool. I've never experienced something like that.
Dylan, with the Thursday game week actually started for you guys over the weekend, but for the fan base, it seems like now it feels like football's on the brink. Do
Yeah.
you guys get that sense that you're just a few days away?
Yeah, it's crazy. We have a countdown, and you know, I remember when it said 50 days, and now it says 3. And so, yeah, I guess our process doesn't really change. We always say our process isn't in the schedule, but of how we go throughout our day. And yeah, we've had time to prepare, and everything just gets bumped back 2 days, and so it's nothing different. The practices aren't different. The scheduling and the timing of everything's not different. It's just the days are different, and so, you know, like I said, when the guys buy into the process of this is how we do things, you can throw any schedule at them and they'll be ready to respond.
Does it seem to be playing somebody else other than themselves and scrimmaging? Are you guys hungry to get out there against another team?
We are. I know our defense is ready to hit a quarterback, not just this one, but just in general of being able to, you know, bring someone to the ground. You know, because we do a lot of thud. We do go live sometimes, but yeah, we're excited to, you know, put drives together and kind of get results of, you know, all the off-season work that we put in to kind of finally see 6 points maybe go up on the board, 3 points, or defense get the takeaway, and we, like, you know, all those situations that we've been training for this whole offseason, we'll be able to showcase them on Thursday.
Kickoff is a little different,
Mhm.
a little later. Are you a guy that gets like antsy before night games? Like, just take us through like what that day will be like for you in the league.
Yeah, so I'm lucky my brother's got a bye this week, so my parents will be there Wednesday afternoon. So first, for a sense of comfort to have my family there, I'll be able to see them at the hotel. But no, nothing really changes. I'm not antsy. It's really the best thing is when you go downstairs and you get to be around your guys. And those guys bring true joy and true passion, and they motivate you every day in the off season. So why wouldn't they do it before a game? So yeah, everything's just throughout the day is just calculating how many, you know, snaps you're going to get, how many, you know, plays you're going to get, and how much times that you know that you can give 100% effort. So it's nothing different. It actually gives us more time to kind of, you know, solidify everything and kind of review what we need to review. But I know when the time that ball is kicked off, we'll be ready to go.
How different is it going into a game week with Dana now compared to when you first got here at the end of last year?
Yeah, it's just a comfort level. I also think, you know, being in my second year here, just a comfortability of knowing what to expect at a game, the flows of good, the flows of bad, of kind of keeping everything in the middle. So, you know, I think everyone's comfortable. We put a lot of reps in, and we've done a lot of work, and now it's time to go out there and show people what we've been preparing for.
Thanks, Dylan.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Dane, you're new to Nebraska, but to get that captain honor, what did it mean just to earn the respect that you've been able to earn in just about 8 months?
Yeah, it was just honestly, it was just an honor to just to earn the captain role. Just everybody in the building, not only the building, but I only really care how the players feel about me, because at the end of the day, I'm glad I established just the role of being a leader on this team, and just how much everybody respects me on this team, and it was truly just an honor.
You got into game week preparation, a couple days ago. Just what's the level of focus you've seen from the guys?
Yeah, I've seen so much focus throughout this week. Just class started today, but I still see so many people in the building walking from the film rooms around the training room, just to try to get their bodies taken care of, and just find their edge on the opponent of taking care of their bodies, watching extra tape. So it's been really cool just seeing how many people have been in the building today with even school being started.
Went out and got some transfer portal DBs. Is it hard to get a beat on what those guys are going to be like, or what kind of film do you watch to get a sense of who you're going to go up against?
Yeah, week one's always the hardest, especially in this age of college football, because you have to find where they played at. But our coaches do a great job of preparing the film for us. So we got plenty of film on every player that is on their team, because of how hard our coaches work here, and they have it all set up for us. So it's easy for me, but it's harder for the coaches to go find everything. So I'm glad they make it easy for us.
Obviously, you want to earn the trust of the quarterback, so that when it comes to a key point, he's throwing the ball your way. How did you work to develop that with Dylan, and how did some of the other receivers who are new do the same?
Yeah, I feel like Jacory's already got that with them. I think Jacory, they played together last year. I think they lived with each other when they first got here. But I did the same thing when I got here. Just throwing a little bit extra after practice with Dylan, watching extra film with them, and I've been staying over at his house for the past couple of weeks. Just staying over there. One, because that's my dog at this point. But two, it's just the connection that we have already, just how much we built it, and I like to chill with that guy.
How would you describe the ball that he throws? You caught passes from an NFL quarterback a couple of years ago. How would you compare it? How do you feel like Dylan throws the ball?
Yeah, Dylan's a special quarterback. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks that I've played with. He understands defense. He understands the scheme. So he understands. He'll come to me and be like, he'll tell me, you don't need to, don't do that, because if they're sitting in that coverage, just stay right there, and I'll know, and I'll just throw it right on you. So that's pretty cool just to be a part of, because he's so smart. He knows what he's going to do it, how he's going to do it, and where he's going to throw the football.
Dane, on the flip side of that portal conversation about Cincinnati, your roster has 6 starters listed atop the depth chart who are new to this team, including yourself and Isaiah. What's your anticipation level about maybe some of the unexpectedness that people can see from Nebraska on Thursday night?
Yeah, I feel like people won't expect how tight of a team this is, because of, like you said, there's what'd you say, 6 people who are listed as starters from the transfer portal. But just the things that Coach Rule had us doing this offseason, I think it only made us a tighter team, and I feel like not too many people will expect how close this team will be, even if adversity hits. There's so much things we went through in this offseason as a team that built us for these moments of adversity, and I feel like people won't expect how tight this team will be.
Focus did you see that was from Coach Rule to get you guys to be one unit as the offseason went along, and what's maybe one example of something that stood out to you?
Yeah, day one, I think those were the first couple words that came out of his mouth. There's a lot of new guys in these seats, but it can't change how we feel about each other. This needs to be the tightest brotherhood. This needs to be a football team. Coach Rule, he had players from the national championship teams come in here and just talk to us. He had Coach Osborne. He came and talked to us a couple of times. So just the people that Coach Rule has brought into this building to talk to us, that's what's gave us the opportunity to become the tightest football team I've been a part of.
Coach Holgorsen said that you and Isaiah have been exactly what he expected when he brought you in. What kind of expectation has he set for you two specifically and the wide receiver room ahead of Thursday's game?
Yeah, I said it a while ago. Coach Dana told me, he said, if you don't want to come be that guy, then don't come here. So, you know, that only made me want to come here and show Coach Dana that I'm that guy, and I have to show him every day of what I can do. And, you know, my preparation, you know, from spring ball to fall camp to, you know, now my game week preparation has just been to show Coach Dana like what I can do, so that Saturday or Thursday this week he can just let the ball in the air and he can trust us to go make plays.
And what do you expect Thursday to be like? You get to play with this new team for the first time inside of an NFL stadium, and fan base is going to be behind you.
Yeah, you know, I'm super excited. I honestly can't wait. I'm ready to see this environment everybody keeps telling me about. Everybody keeps telling me it's one of the best you'll play for. So I'm just super excited to see Husker Nation out there and, you know, finally being able just to play football again.
All right.
Thank y'all.
All right, questions for Will?
I was curious, how many times have you been to Arrowhead Stadium, and how fitting is it you're going to start your career at Nebraska in that stadium?
Arrowhead Stadium, I've probably been to Arrowhead probably about, throughout my time being in Kansas City, probably about around 8 times, you know, not too many times, but, well, with that being my first game, it's almost like a story out of a book, you know. I'm really just ready to go out there, have fun, you know, play ball again. But it's gonna be fun.
What's changed for you? Coach said you were a different player now than you were in the spring and when you got here. What do you see as the change?
I say the biggest change I see is probably my mental. You know, coming in, I've gained more confidence, I would say, in my play, just with, you know, the coaching and just with more reps, you know. It's just gained my confidence in a way.
What is it about this program that stood out to you, you know, to begin with, and what have you maybe learned about it over these last few months?
Well, first of all, you know, coming here and entering the portal, I had good relationships on the staff, you know, with my former high school head coach, being Jamar Mosey. You know, that made the decision to come here even that much more easy. But then, you know, when I talked to Coach Rule, he told me he just wanted me to come in, you know, just be myself, you know, just play my game, and I feel like that's what I came in and have been doing, and I feel like it's been working out pretty good for me.
Yeah, you have elevated yourself to probably play quite a bit this season. Just how has embracing just being yourself and just letting that speak for itself helped you?
And I feel like it's helped me a lot because, you know, I would say, you know, last season at Missouri, I may have put a little too much pressure on myself, you know, overthinking in certain areas, you know, and just coming in and just being free, you know, playing freely, and just being myself has just helped. Like, at the end of the day, it's just ball, so going out there having as much fun as you can. So yeah.
Will, at what point in the whole process did you notice, maybe it was even before you signed, that the opening game this year was going to be in your hometown, and did that motivate you through the offseason to become a different player in any way?
I'd say when I figured out, you know, it was definitely exciting, you know, playing in my playing in the city, in the stadium that I, basically idolized, growing up. But no, I wouldn't say, it motivated me in a way. I feel like I just was coming in, just putting my best foot forward every day. And I feel like it's been working out pretty good for me. So I'm just going to keep doing that, do whatever I can to help my team win.
Do you know how many friends and family members are going to be at the game on Thursday for you?
I don't know an exact number, but it's going to be, it's a lot of people trying to come out, show love. So, yeah.
What was the biggest difference for you just adjusting to Nebraska versus Missouri in terms of how the programs are run? I mean, what would you say the biggest difference is between Coach Rule and maybe where he came from?
I'd say the biggest difference would probably be the attention to detail that we pay to our day-to-day, It's a lot of maybe things that people aren't maybe used to, college athletes, maybe things that they may not feel are required, but I feel like Coach Rule, he runs the system in a way to kind of, get us ready for the next level. So, yeah, it would probably be that.
What does Coach Mosey mean to you?
Man, Mosey's almost like a second father to me. Like throughout my recruiting process, he guided me through it. I went on most of my visits with him. It's just like almost like a mentor for me, a guy that I can always lean on, and I know he always got my best interests at heart. So
When we talked to the team a couple weeks ago, Coach Rule said he was really impressive. Is that something that you have seen throughout your years?
Oh yeah, I know. Almost something that I can't really put into words. Like you just gotta meet him, and it's a certain way he carries himself. A certain way he kind of leads by example. So yeah.
Who's been the guy that's a player that's really helped you since you got here? The guy that's kind of taken you under his wing.
Should I say Desan McAuliffe? He's kind of just came in and just brings an energy factor, to me. Kind of just always motivated me, with him being really a vet, he's been taking me under his wing.
He was another pretty high-profile recruit when he came out of high school. Did you feel like that was part of the challenge that you had when you went to Missouri? That you felt like a lot of eyes were on you and all that?
Yeah, I'd say that's what it was. I feel like I kind of just had to learn how to, I guess handle different amounts of pressure or whatever. I just had to know, at the end of the day, it's just ball, so you just go out there and play a game, have fun. A lot of other things will just handle themselves, so yeah.
What's it been like working with Coach Braden? Is there any sort of technique or motivation that really stands out?
One thing that stands out is just his energy. He brings very good energy to the room, and he likes to say, energy is contagious. So we kind of all feed off his energy, and with him, where he came from, and all the accomplishments that that he's witnessed, I know I trust him. Everything that he's telling me, and I feel like he trusts me. So. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
could have asked you this back in December, but this is Coach Butler's second game that he's calling. I know he was your guys' position coach last year, but just he's settled into the role a little bit. How excited are you to see him kind of take on a full season, and how would you describe him as a guy?
First and foremost, I love Coach Butler, and I couldn't be more confident in having anybody else calling out what we're going to be running out there on the field this week. Well, weekday, not weekend, but yeah, I'm super excited for him, man. He's a fiery, passionate guy, and he comes to work every day. So you can't want anything else from a coach, that's going to be leading you guys out there to play.
Is he, in a locker room setting, does he have that same energy in there, or is he pretty coiled and intense with when it's like halftime?
He's a tricky guy, He's definitely not really like a very stern and stiff type of guy. He cracks jokes in his own ways. Definitely a little funny, but he's definitely always like a great presence around the guys. I feel like everyone respects him and, wants him to lead us, so we're all excited for him.
Coach Rule seems to like how player-led this team is. Not to knock the other teams you've been on, but how have you seen it evolve, just building that up, and how that can maybe help this team too?
I think that I know that we put a lot of work and time this offseason, just talking to each other, like the leaders on the team, just talking to each other, making sure that we're always on the same page. And our biggest thing was that if one of us say something, we all have to back each other up. And I feel like, that's a powerful thing, knowing that you have guys that got your back when you're going to, it's not easy leading people all the time, It's not always going to be, oh, come on, bro, I need you. Sometimes it gets a little hard. And, having a great group of guys behind you, knowing that, they believe in what you're saying and they know that what you're doing is for the greater good and they're backing you 100% all the time, it makes it that much easier for you to, be comfortable and feel comfortable leading from the front.
Marquise, what's your level of confidence in this defensive line, kind of knowing what they've lost? And how confident are you that this new group of guys that's going to play a lot is ready to get it done?
I'm extremely confident in these guys. All winter, summer, spring, though, they work their tails off. And, they have a great coach over there. Coach Terry is amazing. I don't get to talk to him as much, seeing he's not my position coach. But whenever I do, I can tell that they have someone that really cares and loves the game as much as they need him to. And, those guys, they come to work every day. Riley, Williams, Desan, I could keep naming guys, Keona, Cam. They're all dogs, and I'm excited to, play behind them this year.
Marquise, did you get a chance to watch some football in week 0? Coach has said that they checked stuff out.
Oh, yeah. I was watching stuff all the way from the game in Ireland to FCS low D2 football this weekend. And, it was fun, Football season coming back around is always a good feeling, It's just something about the air starts to feel a little different around. And I feel like it was great to, be able to watch those games and nitpick little stuff from them, watch not just from like a fan point of view, but kind of get into like a film watching mindset with it sometime. And, noticing different stuff like that we talked about even in our like team meetings with Coach Rule, emphasis on like how not to beat ourselves and different stuff like that. It all came full, like we saw a lot of that stuff this past weekend. And, it was a great chance for us to learn without having to learn for ourselves.
When you watch that game in Ireland, do you think back at all to when you played there? Because you were a part of that game. Yeah. And can you just speak to the amount of progression or evolution that this program has gone through since that day?
It's night and day, I feel like that was a good team, but I feel like this is a great team that I'm on. Loved all those guys that were on that team, but I feel like it's definitely a different feeling around here in the building. Just on a day-to-day basis, everybody has the same goal, and we're all enforcing the same standard. So, it's really exciting.
What's the key as a DB when you're playing a quarterback like Sorsby, who he can run a little bit, can probably extend stuff, and you got to be aware of that, I guess.
I think for us, just make sure our keys are always right, our eyes are in the right spots, and at the end of the day, this is a full 11-man game, so it's going to be the D-line working with the linebackers and the linebackers working with us, to make sure that we keep this guy under wraps, and I'm excited for it. Football is a competitive game, and I'm glad we get to see a quarterback like him first week.
Not only have the season open up, but get to do it at a venue like at Arrowhead.
Oh man, it means the world to me. I'm super excited for it. I've never personally played in the NFL stadium in my college football career, so really excited for that. That just being someplace I'm aspiring to be in the near future. It just gives me a little peek into what it's like playing on the NFL field.
Yes, Marquise?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I did. Like a week or so in the camp, 2 weeks in the fall camp, I think. Yeah, 2 weeks in.
You were named a captain the other day. Just what did that honor mean to you, knowing that it's been a while since Nebraska's named permanent captains?
It means a lot. I'm very, very appreciative and very thankful, very honored that my teammates voted for me. With us pushing the, idea of a player-led team, I feel like this is kind of something that feels like a culmination of, what we've been preaching throughout the course of the offseason. So to know that my teammates feel that I was somebody that they would like to look at as their view as a leader means a lot to me. So I'm very, very happy about it.
The journey, just leaving Southern Cal the way you did to come here kind of late, I mean, how much has it paid off to come to Nebraska now for you when you see where you're at today?
It's been great. I say that, I've gained a lot, learned a lot. I feel like I've developed as a person through my time here and as a man. I've learned a lot about myself, and I've been given the opportunity to just grow and lead. And I feel like, I came in with a younger room, knowing that I had more experience and knowing that I was older than a lot of people in the room, except for the seniors, of course. But with that in mind, I felt like it put me in a position where I was able to lead. And so I'm very, very happy about that and thankful for it.
What have these just last couple of weeks of training camp been like? Is there anything particular you've been focusing on or just trying to get ready for this game?
I would say for me, I've been just focusing on, looking at the opponent and figuring out ways that I could kind of apply it to camp. I was looking at Cincinnati stuff, just looking at the receivers. So that's what I've been doing. But as a defense, I think that we've really just been focused on swarming around and flying around. I think that's one of the biggest points of a defense, everybody getting to the ball. So I think that's something that we definitely really harped on towards the end of camp. And I think it's been great to see how we've come along with it.
This year, Coach Butler mentioned that you guys basically have 3 first-team corners with Donovan and Andrew and yourself. And then considering that you have a couple of safeties who played corner last year, can you assess what this team's ability is going to be, like what you think to be able to cover in man this year, maybe in comparison to some of the struggles you had down the stretch in that area last year?
I'm very confident in our ability to play man. I think that we have, some very talented players all throughout the secondary, and our coverage abilities, I say, are very strong as well. I think that we put a lot of work into that over the course of the offseason, on our own, getting out there as a group, as a DB room, 15, 20 of us, just working on our technique or working on our breaks or whatever it may be, going against each other, competing with each other. And I think that it really has paid off. And I think that that's why, Coach Butler likes to move us around and have us play in different positions. So especially for, somebody like Donovan playing, being able to play corner and playing safety. So, I'm excited to see what we do out there. I've seen great things from him. He's a young player. I was just saying earlier, like I really like his ability to be receptive to things. Being that he's only a sophomore, a redshirt freshman now, he really listens and he takes things to heart and he listens to what you have to say. So I think that's one of the keys to being a young player, being able to be a sponge wherever you're at and apply what it is that you learn. And I think that he does that really well. So I'm excited to see the plays that he makes this season.
8 o'clock kick, you just have to wait around all day. Just how are you going to try to keep busy and as well as get focused later in the day?
Yeah, it definitely is a pretty late game time. I think, we're just going to try to stay loose throughout the day, not get wound up. I think that's one of the things that can happen when you have such a later game time, if you start to get stressed throughout the day. So I think, just staying comfortable and staying loose throughout the day. And I think we'll be fine.
What have you seen from those Cincinnati receivers? I know a lot of transfers, so the film is somewhat limited in what you can apply to what they might do to you guys week one.
Right. Yeah. They do have a lot of new players, which is cool. I think it's good that they've, gotten new players from other places. But everybody has film from other locations. So that's what I've had to do. Try to, look at some of the stuff from where they used to play, and just see what they look like and stuff like that. But, at the end of the day, I think I'm more so focused on our team. I feel like, whatever we do between the lines on practice field is what's most important. So, whoever does show up on the game day is who we're gonna compete with.
How do you describe your improvement and growth going all the way back from the bowl game to now?
From the bowl game to now, I say that I really, really wanted to hone in on just like everything technical as a player. So I spent a lot of time this offseason really just trying to be detailed about everything that I'm doing, detailed with all of my movements, really breaking down myself as a player. And I think I really did a good job of that. I spent a lot of these, weekends just out there on the field with myself or with some of my teammates, kind of just trying to figure out certain things that I may have slipped up on last season, watching some of my old film from last season, looking at routes that I was beat on, and really working on those routes specifically. So I think that I, filled in some of the holes that I had last year.
Marquise and Deshaun are going to have one more year, and then after the amount of time they've spent with this program, is there an extra level for you guys in the secondary to want to fight for them and this chance to have this year for them?
100%. I think one of the testaments of a great team is your care for each other. I definitely say that I care for my teammates, and those two specifically have had a tremendous impact on me. Just being that when I got there, they had already been here, and just teaching me or showing me the ropes of what it means to be a Cornhusker, and showing me how to play the defense that we play here. And so I think that going out there, I think there is a little bit of an extra chip on our shoulder, just knowing that these are the seniors on the team, and they've been here for so long, and you want to play hard and give it all that you have, just so that they can have a successful last year.
3 captains in the secondary. What does that say for fans as they look ahead to what the secondary can do this season?
Yeah, I think it shows, that we've got some veteran leadership there. I think that we really prided ourselves on having 4 players come back from last year in the secondary, or really more than that. But I think it just shows that we've got some veteran leadership in the secondary, and that we're ready to make some plays this year.
Thank you, everybody.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.